are watching Where Are They Now with your host, Dianne Hart. Now here's Dianne.
Welcome to Where Are They Now? Evening, I have the pleasure of interviewing a singer, songwriter, guitar player, a producer, a former star football player, Mr. Paul Miles. How are you this afternoon?
I'm doing very, very well, Dianne. I'm glad to be in your presence and on your program as well.
Thank you so much. So let's just jump right in. Where are you from?
I was born in Fostoria, Ohio, some small town, but I was raised in Paulding, Ohio, which became my basis of my sports and then also music.
What schools did you attend?
I attended Paulding Exempted Village. That was the junior high school. Then Paulding High School. Then I went to Bowling Green. I was out of high school. I was most fortunate to have some outstanding years in football, so I had scholarships. I had about 200 scholarship offers. I could have went to Harvard, Yale, Air Force. I'd have been one of the first blacks there recruited at Tennessee back in 1970. So I'm kind of going back a little bit. I was well versed, and I had opportunity to go to school based upon my sports. And then I was also drafted by the Cleveland Indians out of high school because of my baseball.
You went on to play baseball? I
went on in a full football scholarship at Bowling Green State University. And I also was able to play baseball on the baseball team. In 1972, the team, we won one of the Mid-American Conference championship, and I was on that first team.
Listen, so you had lots of opportunities. How old were you when you started singing? Because you couldn't have produced first. I know you had to start singing.
No. When I started singing when I was 8 years old. I sang in the church, Baptist church. My mother was a vocalist, so I always heard music from her and also my aunts and my uncles. At that time, they were all a little bit older than me. But I started singing in church at 8 years old. Gospel.
Wow.
Children did rain all night long.
So you started singing at 8 in the church. When did you begin to realize that maybe you wanted to be an entertainer for life?
My mother was one of my mentors because she was a vocalist. I wanted to be a singer. Once I had the opportunity a little bit later on, I sang in a rock band at age 16. And then people were going like, wow, you play football, but also your voice sounds good. I said, well, thank you. Because I had to go from sports to back to the music. And in the music, they said, man, wow, you can always sing. And then it gave me an idea. And of course, at that time, Dianne, and that was with the Motown, the Beatles, Jimi Hendrix, all the stuff was going on. I said, well, hey, I can always do music, but I can do football, but I can always do music as well. And then that gave me the idea that I could do both. Maybe I can do this. If it doesn't work out football or sports, I can always do music.
You certainly can, and you do.
I started singing in a rock band in high school at age 16.
And at what point did you decide that you would go a little bit further? Was it after you graduated high school?
It was after I graduated high school, but it picked up in college. In college is when I started playing guitar. It was my dad's guitar. I wasn't a musician at that time, and I couldn't take the band with me because they were much younger than me. And so when I went to Bowling Green State University, in between football practices and everything else I was doing, then I was going to coffee shops and I was playing and starting to write my songs. So back in 1970 is that when I made a transition in college is to entertain myself. Then I would go to coffee shops and play my guitar and start my poems that was turning into songs. So that's how my songwriting and then the entertaining was happening at the same time at Bowling Green State University.
So were you getting paid at that time to sing or play? When did you begin to get a paycheck?
Well, I was starting to get a paycheck the second year in college because then they heard that I could play and was entertaining. So I got hired by the Student Union Services and a couple other organizations on campus where I was getting paid. But at that time, I had to be careful because, see, as an athlete, you can't get any money, all right? We had to work it out just a different kind of way. So I didn't break any rules because right now everybody gets paid, okay?
Yes, they do.
But back when I was there, that you had to be careful about that because regarding of sports and paybacks and people getting money under the table. I never got any money at all. I had a scholarship that paid for everything, so I didn't need any money. But everybody would like to have money, but it worked out.
So then you started making a little bit of money at the school. Did you begin then to go out to other places whenever you had an opportunity outside of your football?
Off season, I would jam with some of the local bands there in Bowling Green off campus. Mm-hmm. And then I had a guy that heard me sing. He said, well, Paul, you know something, man? Have you ever thought about going to England? Now, at this time, of course, I had my fascination about Jimi Hendrix and everybody else. And I said, well, and I had to give it a thought. I said, well, that would be a nice thing to do. So a germ of an idea was about maybe one day I could take my music to another place. But meanwhile, I still had my football career and I had sports, which was my obligation at that time, since I had a full scholarship.
So you said, nope, can't do that right now. I have to wait and do that later.
Absolutely. I said, now I can't do it right now, but I'll keep that in my mind for later on. Because even at that time on that night, just being very, very frank with you, you never know what you sound like until other people hear you. And other people, man, you sound good. You got your own thing. And I'd say, okay, great, And as a novelty, everybody thought, oh, he plays football, but he also sings too.
You sounded pretty good, did you?
Yeah, I thought I did.
Well, what was important was how did everybody else think you were sounding? Would they pay money to come see you, right?
They had a good time.
I heard you say that your mom was one of your influencers in the music industry. She sang? Did she play any instruments as well?
My mother was a singer, and before she met my father, she was going to Toledo University on a voice scholarship. Yeah, so but before I came along, my mother was a singer, and I realize now with science and people talking about things is that children children can hear in the embryo, regarding of sounds. So right. I give my mother complete credit because while she was carrying me, as I'm hearing voices that I did not know about, but it was her singing. And she sang all the time.
Wow. Does anybody else in your family sing?
All my aunts sang, and that was on that side. On my mother's side, everybody sang on that side. All my mother's sisters sang. Of course, she was the lead vocalist, and everybody else was secondary. But my remaining aunts sang to this day.
I also heard you say your father had a guitar. So does that tell me that he was a guitar player?
No, what it was is that there was a guitar in the house. I would play at it. And my father would say, could you please take that outside? And so what he was saying is that I was making noise. He said, take that guitar outside. So I would do that so my father wouldn't get upset. But when I went to college and my father said, well, what are you going to do with this? And he pointed to the guitar. I said, well, Dad, that's your guitar. He says, I don't play. So my dad gave me my first guitar to take to Bowling Green in 1970. And that's where I started to learn how to do the chords and start to my songwriting.
But did anybody teach you or you just taught yourself?
I had one of my dear friends who taught me 2-3 chords. To this day, he tells everybody I was his first. He gave me some of the chords. He probably gave me a C chord and a D chord and an E chord. A lot of the songs back in that time were just 3 chords that you can play.
Say 3 chords and you were a guitarist.
There we go.
So did you ever take formal lessons on the guitar after you began to play?
No, I did not take any formal lessons. And I just, this was before YouTube. You just got lessons or people would teach you. No, I got lessons a little bit later on when I met Taj Mahal, when I met Kev Mo later on in my development career. And they gave me lessons. They gave me tips and things of that nature. But starting off back in 1970, there was nobody, there was no YouTube, there was nothing. It was basically a guitar book and there was, chords and you would find and different things in there, or somebody would show you something. But I didn't have anything formal until later on. to where I was doing a show that I needed to learn how to play slide guitar, and I got lessons there from Kedmo.
Let's talk a little bit about your star football playing days. What position did you play?
People said, was a running back. I said, well, I was a ball carrier. On my sophomore year, I was a quarterback. But my junior year, the coach let me be a running back. Running back my last 2 years. The last 2 years were very successful. I was all-state both ways in offense and defense. And then that's when I started getting these letters that I gave to my mother, and these scholarship offers where people wanted me to come and play football because I made all-state. I was breaking school records and all of that. And so baseball was my love because that's what I had at age 4. I wanted to be a professional baseball player. I had an uncle in the pros, Grant Jackson, who was a former pitcher of the Pittsburgh Pirates and Baltimore Orioles. So I loved baseball with a passion when I started at age 4. And at age 18, I had a scholarship offer, but I didn't think they was going to give me enough money. At that time, because we have the evolution of money, I was offered $5,000 to sign a contract with the Cleveland Indians at age 18. Mm-hmm. I turned it down, and the guy says, well, why are you turning this down? I said, oh, how much did Mickey Mantle sign for? Mickey Mantle, he says, you think you're as good as Mickey Mantle? I said, I can hit the ball just as far. I was being very honest with him. Mickey Mantle signed for $100,000. I was 5. I thought that was a little low. So meanwhile, I had my bargaining at that time because I had scholarship offers, and I had full scholarship offers to Michigan, Bowling Green, other colleges. And I said, wait a minute. Why should I go there and there? Then I also think about my dad working at General Motors and my mother doing my laundry and all of that. I said, this is something I can do for my family. I can go to college, get my degree, and also be able to do it and not have my parents to have to pay any money. So that's why I decided to go ahead, I bypassed the baseball contract. I know that made my mother and other people upset, but I made my adult choice at age 18 to go to school.
Right.
And got a scholarship offer there at Bowling Green. No regrets. My star quality would never have happened if I had not went to Bowling Green and started playing football.
Wow. So now when you got to college, what position did you play in college?
I was a running back. And when I went, at that time, freshmen were not eligible to play varsity. On the freshman team, on the depth chart, I remember very distinctly, I was number 7 on the depth chart. By the time the season started, my freshman year, I went from number 7 to number 1. I kept that the remaining 3 years. And then people said, well, what happened after that? I said, well, I was first team, and then I was all league, Mid-American Conference 3 years in a row. I was most valuable player, and I was also the third back in NCAA history to get 1,000 yards 3 years in a row. And then I also retired my jersey, the first in the school's history. And at this time, as we speak, it's the only jersey retired at Bowling Green State University, number 29. Now, in high school, they heard I was getting all these honors. Then the high school renamed the street after me. It became Miles Street, number 29 Miles Street. And then they had they had a day for me. And my mother, who became mayor later on, her address was Paul and Vera Miles at number 29 Miles Street.
You got all your flowers while you are still here. And that's so important. Tell me how fast you were as a running back.
As a running back, I ran a 9.9 yard dash. Yes. But if you ran a 9.9 under sub 10 seconds, then you were pretty fast.
Yes, you were.
And so I was fast. In fact, that's actually a school record that they just need to acknowledge because now everything's meters. But I went to state in track because baseball, I couldn't get any further because it was a team sport. So I ran track as well as playing football and basketball, where I was the most valuable player.
You're a bad man. I ran track and I used to run the 100-yard dash. That's why I know how fast you were. I held my own.
Takes one to know one.
So let me ask you this. At what point did you become a semi-pro team owner?
when I played in the World Football League, I was drafted by the Baltimore Colts out of college. Baltimore Colts. I was drafted by the team in Canada, and then also the Memphis Southmen. I ended up playing that first year in Memphis, and we had a great time. In terms of the team, once the league folded, went bankrupt, I lost everything, like a lot of people did. I said they ran out of money. And next thing I know, I'm in California, and guess what I started to do? Started playing the guitar. Okay.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. And I started working, I started hustling, and I started doing that. But because of my education, then I had a degree. I have a degree in theology, minored in philosophy. And then I was able to work for the city of Huntington Beach in in one of the programs there, where I was a counselor for one of the youth organizations. Now, meanwhile, I was playing semi-pro ball to keep in shape. And the next thing I knew, I got hurt and things happened. And the next thing you know, one day they saw me walking on the sideline. I had my hat on, and I had I still had a halfway decent jacket on. They said, "Well, are you the owner?" I said, no, I'm not the owner. And that gave me an idea. So wait a minute, Paul, why don't you have your own team built on integrity and honesty? And I decided to go ahead and do that. I was living in Huntington Beach at the time, between Huntington Beach and then Fountain Valley. So I put two names together, Huntington Valley, and then I used the Mariners. Now, I was the Mariners before the Mariners in the baseball league and all that. I formed my team back in 1977 to let you know how far back I go with that name, the Mariners. We played local games. I took a team, went to Soledad Prison, to Tehachapi Prison. In fact, I have some ex-players that were actually inmates who wanted to join my team after they saw me come in and play. That was my team. We won a league championship 1982, Huntington Valley Mariners, and it's recorded for history. I have a lot of stuff historically. People will dig up, say, "Oh, he did. He was the owner." Yes, I was.
Wow, you have had a phenomenal life that most people will never even begin to dream about it. So now we're going to get back to music. Tell me a little bit about some of the people who influenced you outside of your mom once you left home and you continued in this musical endeavor.
Well, let me tell you a circle of who influenced me and how I got to meet them one day.
Okay.
I was influenced by Motown. My mother and aunts and uncles, they saw Marvin Gaye back in the day and Sam Cooke and all those people back in the day. But I remember dancing to the song Heat Wave by Martha Reeves and the Vandellas. Now, little did I know that at that time, that later on, I would have an opportunity to record with the original Vandellas, my big sister, Annette, and then Roz, who were the background singers for Martha. Of course, I knew Martha, but the ones who I worked with directly was with Annette and Rosalind. So I was influenced by female singers, the doo-wops and the background singers and all that, which helped me in some of my production work later on. But the other people, in terms of that, the other influences, that I did have an opportunity to meet B.B. King back in 1975. I did a show in Huntington Beach, and down the street, B.B. King was playing at a club. I said, "Oh man, Paul, you playing a concert and B.B. King's down the street? Ain't nobody coming to your show," But I had a chance to meet him at that time and met him over the years. But that was back in 1975. I also met Taj Mahal. I was an opening act for Taj Mahal, a place called the Golden Bear, which is across from the pier there in Huntington Beach. Had a great time, but I had a chance to meet him. But at that time, Dianne, I had to make the switch from professional football to professional music. And the first time I met Taj, short story, I met Taj Mahal. I reached out to shake his hand. He just looked at my hand. As you know how you shake somebody's hand and they don't shake your hand and you end up looking at your hand? Okay?
Right.
Well, that's what happened. And I said, okay, no problem. I did that show that night. I got a standing ovation as an opening act. After
Mm.
the show, the first person to shake my hand was Taj Paul. He says, "All right, bad Paul, what's going on, brother?" From that point on, we hit it off. He says, "Paul, I'm at a hotel. Come and see me." This is before he moved to Hawaii. He showed me some chords, gave me some information, and then we became, in terms of a friendly basis. Anytime
Right.
or any place, I just give my name to the doorman and they say, "Who are you?" I said, "Just tell Taj Mahal, Paul Miles." And they would go back and they'd come back. He says, "Come in." Okay. Kev Moore, I met Kev. His first name is Kevin. It's Kevin Moore. He changed it to Kev Mo. But I met him back in 1975. He was with the band. He was a bass player. And I met him. And then he turned over his career going from playing bass in a group called the Midnight Sun, Keb Mo, K-E-B, Mo, in terms of jazz. He went down to Louisiana and studied and whatever else did. Well, later on in 1995, I'm also an actor too. I'm a Screen Actors Guild member. And I've been that since I was in the movie North Dallas 40. They needed someone to fill in for him because he had a blues obligation. And so he said, "Paul, I'll come to my place. No problem." They hired me. I went to his house. He gave me slide guitar lessons back in 1995. Now, here's what he told me. He says, "Paul, I don't know what you plan on doing or whatever else there." He says, "But in L.A., there's only two people that play this kind of style. My teacher and a guy who taught him." He says, "Here in San Diego, you would be the only one." And we did a show called Lost Highway. It was the Hank Williams story. And of course, I had my equity card, and I was able to go audition and be there. I took some time with my band. I had a band in San Diego. We were doing, I had a percussionist, saxophone player, and we was doing music, and I was being hired out. And at that time, I was a single parent. So in between times, I would do shows. Kevin says, "Well, Paul, I don't know what you're doing, but why don't you keep doing this and just have it on the side?" 8 months, 4 hours a day, I practice on my guitar, slide guitar, finger picks.
We're going to take a break and we're going to play a song that you wrote, Homeless Man. And we come back on the other side. I want you to tell me a little bit about the song and what inspired that song. So we're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
I'm a homeless man, hard living, all the way down to the bone. I'm a homeless man, hard living, all the way down to the bone. Ain't got no money, sure enough, ain't got no home. I'm a homeless man. People look at me, laugh, call me names. I'm a homeless man. People look at me, laugh, and call me names. You might think I'm crazy, but I'm not insane. I'm a homeless man, I'm living out here on the street. I'm a homeless man, living out here on the street. Here in the midday sun, looking for something to eat. Lord, 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 have mercy on me. Lord, 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 can you set me free? Please, I'm a homeless man. Don't look at me with any fear. I'm a homeless man. Don't look at me with any fear. 'Cause if he runs out of money, you too might end up here. Mm-hmm. I'm a homeless man. Yes, I am.
You are watching Where Are They Now with your host, Dianne Hart. Now here's Dianne.
Welcome back to Where Are They Now? I'm your host, Dianne Hart, and this evening I have with me Mr. Paul Miles. What a bad jam. Tell me a little bit about what inspired that song.
In terms of observation, with regarding of that, Homeless Man is a basic blues song, but also tells a real simple story. I'm in an observation. I'm here in Arizona at this present time. Being in Detroit and other places there, I've had a lot of homeless people who've been very supportive of me and my music. Being a street musician as well as playing clubs and all of that, a lot of times I've got to go out and hustle in a good way, my music, and I've seen other people hustling to live. And
Right.
so for me, I've never been ripped off or nobody has stolen from me who was homeless. They have given me money when I know they didn't have any money, but they enjoyed the music. And I always remember that. And I said, I will always honor them doing something to let them know that they need to be recognized. They're people too. And we could all be just a couple paychecks away from being out there as well. And so I wanted to honor them by writing this song. And plus it's a blues feel. And also I get to play my banjo.
Yes, you do. So do you write for others?
Yes, I have.
Let's talk a little bit about some other people that you've collaborated with.
In fact, I'm working on a current project right now from a young lady who's from the Ukraine. And she's an absolutely wonderful singer. And so we're collaborating on some things and some music as we're doing it as a duo there in Switzerland. And her name is Julia, but she's also a songwriter as well. So we're collaborating. It's really interesting. We got somebody from the Ukraine. I'm from the USA. I'm basically a blues artist. She's basically a pop artist, but we're putting together our voices blend together real well. And because she's a songwriter as well, then we'll collaborate in some music, which we'll be recording later this year and next year, and to do a full thing of songs together. And I'm looking for that. Now, in the Detroit area, then I worked with one of my dear friends who's passed, Luther Keith, and I did some music with him, and just to give him some input and some things there. So sometimes you will influence other people to do some things there. So he wrote a song. He says, Paul, I'd like for you to come in on it. So I did some music and added some guitar work for him. And we have a video on it called Talking Old Blues Man. That's from Luther Keith, who just passed. And Luther and I go back a number of years in terms of our music and that. And he hired me to do a show because I also played a little bit of piano. So, I got some interesting history with a lot of different folks. And then also I worked with Orthea Barnes on her album. It was a blues, a gospel album, and she was the main person that was influenced me to write these songs with her because I was the one is the title of it, and it won a Detroit Music Award for Best Gospel Album. We were both co-writers.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So do you have any new music coming out soon?
I'm working on some new music. The latest album was called The Collections, which that song Homeless Man and the next song you're playing is from there. But I'm also here in Arizona. I've been charged with this wonderful son. I'll do some music in Detroit before I go back to Switzerland on some new songs that I'm working as we speak.
I understand that T. Pablo played with you on something, collaborated with you on some song.
We did something, but I also know that we did something musically there. I'm trying to think of the spot. Can't know exactly what it was, but yes, we did something together. Mm-hmm. He's an outstanding player as well.
All of you all are outstanding players. Are you promoting any shows right now?
Yes, I am promoting the show. I'm going to be doing a blues show on March 21, when I come back to Detroit. It's going to be at Post 10. I'm inviting everybody to come and see me before I go back to Switzerland. So I'll be coming back to Detroit to do a show. I've been mentoring a young gentleman by the name of Bobby Gray. Bobby's going to be my opening act. I'm going to be doing some new music. I'll be featuring my latest album, their collections, and we'll do a show there at the Post 10 in Hamtramck. And we're looking forward to that as soon as the snow goes away.
Exactly. So let me ask you this. What social media platforms can your awesome fans find you on?
They can find me on Instagram. They can find me on Facebook. They can find me on Spotify. They can find me on Apple Music. They can Google me up and see me on YouTube.
Put in Paul Miles.
Yeah, just put in Paul Miles. Also, I have a website under Paul J. Miles Music, and that's available for people as well. But if you just Google Paul Miles, I'm going to be there.
Well, we're going to take a second break, and we're going to play another song that you wrote, Grits and Gravy, and let's talk a little bit about it on the other side. So we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Come on. I'm as hungry as I can be. Can somebody help me? I got the hunger pangs of a country mule. Is there anything that anybody can do? Well, I know that it's supper time. Let me tell you what's on my mind. I've been waiting here for many a day. Can something good come my way? I'm talking about grits and gravy. I said, baby, can you bring them me? Grits and gravy, I ain't crazy, baby, can you set me free? Grits and gravy, I said, baby, I like your look. Grits and gravy, I said, honey, can you cook? I was raised as a small town boy, where there are nice smells I did enjoy. Real good food on the grill. Mama's cooking, I hope she will. Well, let me tell you, I'm making a request. I like the food that I know is the best. Well, now, my baby, don't you hear my plea? I'm asking right here on my knees. Can you bring me grits and gravy? I said, baby, can you bring me some? Grits and gravy, I said, baby, I want some. Grits and gravy, I said, baby, I like your look. Grits and gravy, I said, baby, I know that you can cook. Oh, hoo, hoo, hoo. Grits and gravy, I said, baby, can you bring me some? Grits and gravy, I said, baby, I wanna have some fun. Grits and gravy, I said, honey, you got the look. Grits and gravy, I said, I know you can cook. Grits and gravy, don't say maybe. Grits and gravy, driving me crazy. Woo! I just want me some.
You are watching Where Are They Now? With your host, Dianne Hart. Now here's Dianne.
Welcome back to Where Are They Now? I am your host, Dianne Hart, and this evening I have the awesome pleasure of interviewing Mr. Paul Miles. What a bad jam. All of your songs are awesome. So let's talk a little bit about what inspired that song.
Historically, and also in terms of family, I like to acknowledge things from the past. It's part of who I am. I love food. My mother was a wonderful cook. My grandmother was a great cook. My aunts are great cooks. I love good food. And when it came to me about grits and gravy, I said, you know something, because I've written a couple other songs that are dealing with food, beans and rice. I'm covering things that are part of our heritage. Okay,
Right.
so
Yeah.
grits and gravy. I said, Paul, that's a hook. First of all, grits and gravy. Though, I'm going grits and gravy. Come on, baby. I'm kind of doing this thing in my mind. I said, well, wait a minute, Paul. You got a song. You better finish it. Okay, if you don't finish it, it's gone. Okay,
Right.
so I wrote that song, Grits and Gravy, Grits and Gravy, in honor of my family, of my heritage, of great cooks, and so many fond memories of family reunions and just great dishes and all of that. So grits and gravy is just kind of a throwback, like family reunion, like the OJs did. Other people got other kind of things, and family affairs, Sly Stone. Everybody's got something. Mine is grits and gravy.
I like grits and gravy.
Here we go.
I think we probably all do at some point in our lives, right? Well, Paul, I want to ask you, I'd like you to just kind of give some advice to up and coming individuals who want to be in this space. This cannot be as easy as it sounds.
No, what I would encourage the young people, especially for young people, have a passion on what you want to do. Learn as much as you can with it. Don't block off and find out where your roots came from. Now, for me, I decided to go ahead and learn about the blues, and that's why I went back. I went back to all the shows. I went back to all the old players that were still in Detroit at that time, the Uncle Jesse's and the different people that were in that area who did the music initially, and learned from them. The B.B. Kings. I went to those shows, and a lot of those people are no longer here. So all I'm saying is as for a young person, do your homework. Find out the other people who are doing what you're doing, but first of all, have a passion. Get your education, have something to fall back on, because that's what I did as well. But the other thing is that you need to find your own voice. I've spent a number of years, 50 plus years playing the guitar, and people saying, man, you play the guitar. I said, yeah. Who do you play like? I said, well, by now it's Paul Miles, And they said, oh, okay, great, because nobody does those screams and this and that and whatever else, your voice and whatever else. I said, that's something I've developed over a period of time because I became confident in my voice. So anybody who's young, you can follow, you can copy, you can do that, but you have to have the devotion and strength of character to find your own voice and stand on that. I'm not out here telling everybody I'm a wealthy person, because I am not. I am a person who has his own music, who has his own sound, and has his own inspiration. And I'm still inspired to go further with regard to what I'm able to do to tell a story. In terms of my songwriting, I remember taking a poetry class in college and learning, the forms of poetry and writing and this and that, whatever, to be able to do that. I just had a dear friend who passed, and I wrote a song for her called Angel Eyes, which I'll eventually record. It was a very sad situation where we lost somebody at a young stage of her life, but I was inspired to tell her story in a particular kind of way that is giving honor to her memory. So I have a lot of music. I still have more. And one day somebody will write a song about me, hopefully, saying we was inspired by the blues, man. What? But that's what I would tell young people. Get your education.
Absolutely. That's critically important that they get their education. And when it comes to the business side of the entertainment, give them a little bit of advice on that.
Protect your music, do your copyrights, have it covered. I'm back in the day before they had all the various, websites and that, whatever else there, you used to record it and used to send it back to yourself in the mail, so at least you would have proof on that. That would be like, we call it a cheap copyright. But use the various forms there to copyright your music. Know that you can pass your music on, because once I go, I've got it in my will that my music, if somebody buys my music, then it'll go to my heirs. They'll go to my grandson, grandkids, and whoever in my family in terms of passing it on. Because my music, as I told somebody, I said, my music will probably be worth more when I'm gone than when I'm here. And they said, oh, don't say it like that. I said, well, I'm saying it like that, okay? I'm telling you truthfully. I've got some music that that I've written, because I've been recording since 1995, so we figure how long that's been. I've got a catalog of songs that will cover all different kind of topics and things there that may not be directly in the blues vein, but because I'm a songwriter, it covers various topics of life. And life can go from being born to leaving here. And in between, there's lots of different things there that are going on. So for anybody there, business-wise, protect your music, copyright it, have it in writing somewhere who owns it, and protect it, and have that, and then be able to make sure somebody can locate everything. Right now, I'm scrambling too in terms of time. I've got so many cassette tapes that I got to convert to MP3s that are unfinished. I've got a couple of musicals that I'm working on. So people say, well, what do you need, man? I'm saying like anybody else, I need more time, you know?
Exactly. Buy some more time, I'll take it. More time to get it done. You'll get it done, I'm sure of that. As much of it as you possibly can. But how many records do you have what do you have in your catalog?
Well, my albums, I probably have close to 20 albums. I probably got well over 200 songs that in terms of my that playlist and things of that nature. That's why when people go to my playlist, they'll go like, wow, I didn't know he wrote this many in this year and whatever else there. Each album averages about 10 songs, so I've done at least 20 of those, so that's 200. And those are ones that I know that I have done it the right way in terms of copyrights and all of that, and that I own. All right? So that's why I'm saying is it only takes one. Now, one that I've got that is happening right now is there's a movie that I did back in 2011, 2012 that I'm waiting to get credited on. It was called The Ghost of New Orleans. In the movie, which I did not know, this is what I'm saying, somebody sent me an email and said, oh, you're in the movie. I said, great, thank you, no problem. Well, in this movie, which I did not see, I'm singing one of my songs. It's a song that I own. And it's a song that I have not got paid for. So I'm letting everybody know, make sure you protect your music, because I know it's got to come back to me because it's my song and it was released in 2012. That's a few years ago. And I haven't got any money for it as yet. Okay. So with your program, where are they now? Guess what? I'm here now and I'm still waiting. Now.
Hey, but I'm sure you will be going after your money. But hey, a movie release, they had nerve, put you in a movie, didn't even tell you, and played your music and don't want to pay you, but they'll have to pay you. So you just say,
yes, ma'am. And I appreciate you and the opportunity to be on the program, because, like I said before, when I was asked about the program from you, so first I was very, very honored. The reason being is that I've lost a lot of friends within the last 5 years, and I know a lot of them didn't have the opportunity to speak. So I speak for a lot of those people with regard to that. I want to first of all thank them personally and their families for the opportunity to know them and to be around them and to be in their ambiance of music. And a lot of people did not get paid. A lot of shows, a lot of open mics, a lot of that. And all I'm just saying is that I'm just honored. So I'm a blues man. I claim that. That's where I'm at. And I will do that with the honor and respect for those who've passed on.
absolutely. Paul, what I did not ask you when I asked you where you're going to be playing soon, and you're going to be in Detroit,
Yes.
March 21st,
Yes.
a blues show at Post 10. Do we have an address for that? Or
It's on Joseph Campo, but it's also, if you go to my Instagram, it's already posted. If you go to my Facebook, it is posted under events.
okay.
And it's on Joseph Campo. That's the street address, but it's Joseph Campo there in Hamtramck. And it's and for those that know a little bit about Detroit, it's catty corner across the street from where the Attic Bar used to be, where. And there's a lot of history there, but I'm there and I'm really looking forward to it. And it's called Post 10, and it's a Polish bar, and music is international. And they said, Paul, we want you to come back. I said, thank you, I'll be back. And we'll do that.
That's right. I know that's right. Well, Paul, I hear that music in my ear. I am so honored to have you on with me this evening. Listen, T. Pablo talks about you constantly and all of the things that you've done and that you're doing. You're headed back to Switzerland sometime in the near future?
Yes, I'm headed back to Switzerland because my first gig back to Switzerland is going to be my birthday bash, which is going to be March 27th at the Alec Bar. They're waiting for me to come back. They said, Paul, please come back. And it's my bar there in Creans, which is outskirts of Lucerne, and I will be there. And I've got other shows. I've already got some bookings all the way up into November. I usually spend my time there for the summertime. I go to France twice for some shows, and then I come back. I'll come back in November, late November. I'll come to Detroit and do some things again.
Well, I hope to get to see you very soon. Again, I thank you for this opportunity. Listen, you all, you can watch me every Wednesday night on Roku on the Lit TV network on The Opening Statement. That's a show where I talk about politics, but I also play you all as well. People from Where Are They Now on that station. But that's every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. on The Opening Statement. That's on Roku, on Lit TV Network. So we're all over the world. You can also catch me on Thursday nights on Where Are They Now at 7:30 on Detroit Hot Television on Facebook. Don't forget to go to my YouTube channel, like and subscribe, hit the bell, and each time I upload a new video, you'll get notified. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
This is Dianne Hart. Be sure to catch my shows as we interview politicians and special guests on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. on The Opening Statement, the Lit TV network on Roku. Also, watch Where Are They Now as I interview entertainers of yesterday and today at 7:30 p.m. Detroit Hot TV on Facebook. Thank you.
Detroit Hot Television on the cutting edge of urban internet TV.
It's a new day for Detroit radio. It's internet radio. Make sure you're streaming in your car. Detroit's digital radio station for a new generation. DetroitHotRadio.com. Terrestrial radio can't do what we do because we are setting a new standard in Detroit. The best Detroit artists are here, along with all your national favorites. The most music 24/7 by all your local favorites, like Anita Baker, Michael Henderson, Kim,
So how did you find your way back in
and the Dramatics. If they're from Detroit, they're heard here. This is where Detroit turns for R&B from yesterday and today.
24 karat magic in the air.
Detroit Hot Radio.